What's happening, family and friends? I got a question for you guys today, all right? It's going to require a lot of deep thinking, so I need you to pay close attention. Now, I want you to tell me in the comments, what do Drake and Kendrick Lamar have in common? Well, aside from them both making hit records that were also diss records, Drake with Back to Back and Kendrick Lamar with Not Like Us, aside from them both outselling J. Cole throughout the entirety of the 2010s, prompting J. Cole to say that we threw him the bronze and he was third place in the big three. Aside from all that, the biggest thing that Kendrick and Drake share in common is their deep love for Taylor Swift. If you go back to 2016, you probably remember the rise of Apple Music and how Drake was Apple Music's first poster child. They offered him a $40 million deal to exclusively release his highly anticipated album Views on their streaming platform and keep it solely on Apple Music for the first week of its release. Now, teaming up with Apple Music caused Drake to back out of partnering with Jay-Z on his streaming platform Tidal, but when one door closes, another door opens, and while Jay-Z and Drake's relationship might have been strained from Drake pulling out of Tidal at the last minute, that bad blood would lead the pop prince of Apple Music to show the world how much love he had for the pop princess of Apple Music, Taylor Swift, as he was twerking to her in Kendrick Lamar's song Bad Blood in an Apple Music commercial. Take a look at that.
No mercy this year, let's get it!
Cause baby, now we got bad blood.
Maybe in this song, you shouldn't start by saying
Embarrassing. I'm angry. It's time to activate rap mode. You mentioned my seed and I deal with his dad. I gotta go bad, I gotta go bad. Yeah, Take this one, Kendrick. Rap mode. If Drake shooters doing TikToks, really shoot.
Now, while Drake let the world know he was a certified Swiftie in an Apple Music commercial, Apple Music let us know this year that they were Team Kendrick as they awarded him with Rapper of the Year this year in 2024, presumably due to the high number of streams that Kendrick got from all his diss records against Drake. Don't forget, the guy has only released about 5 or 6 records this year in total. So to grant him Rapper of the Year off 6 records when guys like Future had put out 3 albums this year kind of shows you where the executives over at Apple Music stand on this whole side of the beef. And speaking of streaming numbers, while Drake has pretty much always been the most streamed rapper, his biggest streaming competition came from Taylor Swift, and he openly admitted this when he pushed back his 2022 album Her Loss with 21 Savage after he discovered that Taylor Swift was going to release her album the same week as him. And that was a pretty smart move from Drake, knowing that Taylor Swift would steal that #1 position because she ended up selling over 1 million copies in the first week with her album, while Drake and 21 Savage only sold around 400,000 copies in the first week with theirs. Now, aside from that, you might be asking yourself, why would Taylor Swift deliberately release an album the same day that Drake planned to release his album on, especially after all the love Drizzy showed her by twerking to her song in an Apple Music commercial? Well, there might have been a reason for that no one knew at the time, and that could have been due to her relationship with Kendrick Lamar. See, Taylor Swift and Kendrick Lamar didn't just have camaraderie. Kendrick was never twerking to Taylor Swift songs, but Kendrick Lamar and Taylor Swift did collaborate on the 2017 record Bad Blood, the same record that Drake was twerking to in that Apple Music commercial. And pay attention, because their collaboration is going to play importance in this story very shortly. And by the way, I messed up earlier. Their collaboration was in 2015, not 2017. But in 2017, Kendrick Lamar did talk about what it takes for him to say either yes or no to doing a collaboration with someone. Unlike Drake, who collaborates with a lot of artists from small to large, from Atlanta trap artists to dancehall artists to Mexican artists to Jamaican artists, his list of collaborators stretches far and long, no Diddy, and that is the exact opposite of Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick is very picky with who he does collaborations with. And he's caught a lot of flack for this, mainly due to his lack of collaborations with fellow West Coast artists, which is something else we're going to touch on later in this video. But yeah, when he spoke about what it takes for him to say yes to a collab and why he chose to collaborate with Taylor Swift, Kendrick had said, "You gotta have a great business mind and integrity and a great team. The #1 thing we talk about is how does the music sound?" So the first thing I want to know before I jump on a track is let's hear the music, because the music is going to dictate the idea and the concept of where we can take this idea. As far as his collaboration with Taylor Swift and how that came about, Kendrick had said, "We were both in LA, so I came to her studio session. She had the music up and I started writing and jumped in the booth and we laid it down. With that particular record, it was just me vibing and catching her lyrics. I didn't want to get into her head too crazy. I just wanted to have my own inspiration and see where it took it. Fortunately, the vibe was right and it didn't take too many takes, and we were really locked in on the chemistry and we really felt what was going on when I was in the booth. And by 2023, Taylor Swift was in the process of re-recording all of her old music and then re-releasing it so she can gain access to the masters of her recordings. And she called on her good friend Kendrick Lamar to re-record the vocals of his verse on her Bad Blood remix. And when he did, Taylor spoke on the recording process and her time in the studio with Kendrick Lamar by saying, "Kendrick Lamar is just such a better rapper than Drake. It amazes me each and every day." I'm just kidding. She didn't say that. She said watching Kendrick Lamar create and record his verses on the Bad Blood remix was one of the most inspiring experiences of my life. I still look back on this collaboration with so much pride and gratitude for the ways Kendrick elevated the song and the way he treats everyone around him. Every time the crowd on the Eras tour would chant his line, "You forgive, you forget, but you never let it go," I smiled. The reality that Kendrick would go back in and re-record Bad Blood so that I could reclaim and own this work I'm so proud of is surreal and bewildering to me. I'm overjoyed to say that the Bad Blood remix featuring Kendrick Lamar is available everywhere on the 1989 Deluxe Edition. And it seemed like this wouldn't be the final time they'd be cooking up, because that same year Kendrick Lamar was spotted leaving Taylor Swift's party at Electric Lady Studios in New York City. And at the end of the year, Taylor Swift's go-to producer Jack Antonoff shared a series of photos on Instagram, with one of them including a picture of Kendrick Lamar's go-to producer Soundwave in the studio with them, with the date titled December 21st, 2023. People thought, okay, maybe Kendrick's producer Soundwave was doing some work on Taylor's upcoming album, but that didn't seem to be the case, because when she released it in April 2024, Soundwave didn't have any credits on it. But that month was very important for this story. See, not only did Taylor Swift release an album in April 2024, but that would be the same month that Drake dropped the first diss record in his entire battle with Kendrick Lamar, titled Push-Ups. Well, technically he didn't release it officially. First it leaked online and many people thought that it was actually AI and that Ghost Writers wrote the song and put Drake's AI vocals on it so no one knew that it was ghost written. But that's just rumors, okay? Rumors. But AI will play an important role in the story very shortly. But first, on that first diss record, Push-Ups, Drake was clowning Kendrick Lamar for basically chalking up half of the profits of his music to his former record label, Top Dog Entertainment, with the whole chorus going, "Top Dog said drop and give me 50. Aside from that, Drake also clowned Top Dog for forcing Kendrick Lamar to make a bunch of crossover hits with white pop stars like Maroon 5 and Taylor Swift. He rapped, "The way you're doing splits, your pants might rip," in reference to Kendrick Lamar splitting the profits of his music with so many different individuals. Then he rapped, "You better do that show inside the biddy. Maroon 5 need a verse, you better make it witty," implying that Top Dog is breathing down Kendrick's neck, forcing him to do all these shows, collaborations, and appearances with pop stars to generate the label more money. Then he kicked off the final bars of the first verse by saying, "Then we need a verse for the Swifties. Top said drop, you better drop and give him 50. So again, Drake was just implying that Kendrick's label situation involves the owner of the record label breathing down his throat, telling him, go collaborate with this guy, go collaborate with Taylor Swift, make the verse witty, and then come back and give me 50% of the profits. Essentially trying to throw shots at Kendrick in three different ways. Number one, that his label was ripping him off, that he was paying Top Dog too much of the profits that his music generated, and that Top Dog was controlling Kendrick's every move. Number two, he was saying Kendrick is a sellout for doing features with people like Maroon 5 or Taylor Swift. And number three, which came in a later diss track, Drake was kind of implying that Kendrick is a quote-unquote fake activist, like he's always talking about social issues and racial inequities within society within his music. But as Drake put it, quote-unquote, he doesn't go back to his hood and plant money trees. Instead, he kind of sells out and does collaborations with these white pop stars like Taylor Swift or Maroon 5 for his and his label's own financial gain. That came on Drake's Family Matters record, where he rapped, "Top would make you do features for change, get on pop records and rap for the whites, and you're just acting like an activist, it's make-believe." And while I don't necessarily go back to his collaborations with Maroon 5 or Taylor Swift, I do think just by the explanation Kendrick gave alone on how he decides the creative process or chooses whether or not to collaborate with someone, there's a lot more thought that goes into Kendrick's decision-making when he assesses if he wants to do a collaboration or not. I don't think he gets in the booth and just says, okay, who can I collaborate with next to make me the most money? And does he try to capitalize off of other people's sounds and cultures to the same extent that Drake does? I would say definitely not. But regardless, Drake was very fixated on this whole Taylor Swift thing, and that became most apparent in Drake's second diss record, Taylor Made Freestyle. This came right off the heels of Push-Ups. It was released several weeks before Kendrick Lamar ever even laid an official direct diss record to Drake on wax, max. And many Drake fans had put Kendrick on this time clock, most notably DJ Akademiks. The second that Drake dropped push-ups, DJ Akademiks would tweet out every single day that Kendrick Lamar did not drop his own diss record, and Drake would take part in this trolling when he dropped Tailor-Made Freestyle, where essentially he was making fun of Kendrick for remaining silent. Boy, does he probably regret that now. But as you guys probably know, this entire record was composed using AI vocals from Tupac and Snoop Dogg, where Drake was rapping from their perspective, basically having them give Kendrick a pep talk for being the savior of the West Coast and trying to give him this confidence boost to finally drop a diss record, trying to create this narrative that Kendrick was too scared to drop. Drake turns off the AI vocals in the final verse of this record where he raps from his perspective, and he was claiming that Taylor Swift was Kendrick Lamar's new top dog. She was the one now calling the shots on Kendrick Lamar's releases, because this was the same night that she just dropped her latest album, and it was a month after Kendrick rapped on Future and Metro Boomin's record saying F the Big Three is just Big Meat. And with him being silent, Drake here was basically implying that Kendrick Lamar needed to wait before he released a diss record because Taylor Swift dropped and she would block him from going #1, just like she did Drake a couple years back. He rapped, "My first diss song really only took me about an hour or two. The next diss is really gonna bring out the coward in you. But now we gotta wait a week because Taylor Swift is your new top dog, and if you're about to drop, then she's gotta approve. This girl's really about to make you act like you're not in a feud. She tailor-made your schedule with Ant. You're out of the loop. I hate all you corporate industry puppets. I'm not in the mood. Since your verse on Like That dropped, your tone changed a little. You're not as enthused. What the F is taking so long? We're waiting on you." And he did a little spoken word outro for the record where he said, "Yeah, shout out to Taylor Swift, biggest gangster in the music game right now. You know, I moved my album when she dropped. I said that already. She's about to Millie run through a Millie rock on your head top. She's got the whole PG Lang on mute like that Beyonce challenge. You guys are quiet for the weekend. Like, K. Dot, I know you're up in that NY apartment. You're struggling right now. I know it. You're in the notepad doing lyrical gymnastics, my boy. You better have a quintuple entendre on that record." And wow, revisiting this, like, it's crazy how quickly Drake's tone shifted in just a month. Like, he went from taunting Kendrick about Taylor Swift controlling his release schedule, begging him to drop, making fun of the quintuple entendres that Kendrick very much did come with just about a week after this. But anyways, back to Taylor Swift. So as Drake makes fun of Kendrick for collaborating with her and claiming that he's not dropping his diss record because she's about to drop her album, Kendrick comes back with a slight troll of his own, a very discreet troll that you would not get unless you dug deep into the production credits on Rap Genius, where you would notice that Kendrick Lamar's second diss record, 616 in LA, was handled by two different producers, one of them being Soundwave, Kendrick's frequent collaborator, and the other being Jack Antonoff, Taylor Swift's go-to producer. The same two producers who were in the studio together back in December of 2023. Now again, we know that Soundwave did not cook up anything for Taylor Swift's album, so what could he have been doing with Taylor Swift's producer around that time? Well, it's quite possible that they were actually cooking up something for Kendrick's new album that is expected to come sometime in the very near future. And DJ Snake might have just confirmed this. He was on a podcast where he said that Taylor Swift will be featured on Kendrick's next album and they have a collaboration that was already recorded.
Kendrick's album, there are 4 or 5 from Mostar. And there's a feat with Taylor Swift. World premiere.
If you're wondering whether or not that clip was fake or if it was AI, that's because yes, it was AI. It was AI translated from French to English. He actually did this interview in French, but it's very much real. DJ Snake did say this. And I could be wrong, but I believe he's a very close collaborator of Selena Gomez, who's a close friend of Taylor Swift. So it's possible that that's where he got the information from. I don't believe he's ever collaborated with Kendrick, so I don't think he got it from Kendrick's camp. So obviously it could be taken with a grain of salt, but he said that it's coming. A collaboration between Taylor Swift and Kendrick is coming. And this has Kendrick fans torn up. On the one hand, you have fans like this who are extremely happy about the collaboration.
Let me tell y'all, I might be new to the Swiftie hood, but what I'm not new to is the Kendrick Lamar hood, because I have been a fan since Good Kid, Mad City. This, I'm here for it. Let's go. Let's go. I've been waiting for this album, and that Bad Blood Part 2. I'm so excited, y'all.
But then you got fans like this who feel like it's been a long, tiring battle of trying to defend Kendrick's every move, and that collaborating with Taylor Swift is just not a good step in the right direction, considering everything Drake said about his relationship with Taylor Swift in this battle.
I'm on my second defend Kendrick video, and we don't get paid enough at HQ and HQ LLP enough to be doing this. Taylor Swift will be featured on Kendrick Lamar's new album via DJ Snake. All right, so Dot, please, please don't do this, Dot. Okay, let me start. We'll try to make sense of things. No disrespect to DJ Snake. I know DJ Snake for a few things, right? Turn down for what? What's DJ Snake's relationship to Taylor Swift and Kendrick? How would DJ Snake know this information? But if DJ Snake does know this information, Kendrick, it's not too late to change your mind. I've been refereeing this war this whole year. I'm tired. Brother, you're gonna restart the whole war again. Top and make you do features for change. Then we need a verse for the Swifties. Oh my God. Dot, I don't know if you're mastering the album right now. I don't know how DJ Snake has this information. Please, remove the song, brother. Remove the song. This gonna be me outside of the studio. Kendrick, please, no, don't do it.
As for me, I'm kind of torn on this. I'm not a fan at all of Taylor Swift's music, but I do acknowledge that there's a high level of talent there. Like, she's been in the game longer than Drake, longer than Kendrick, dropping hit after hit every single year, outselling the entire industry. I think she added like $5 billion to America's GDP when she went on tour last year, meaning that her going on tour and people having to buy tickets and book hotel rooms to see her added $5 billion to the economy from consumers who were going to see her live. And I have a friend whose girlfriend dragged him out to go watch her in concert, and he says like it was a masterclass in terms of performance. She was performing for 3.5 hours straight, running through every single one of her albums, playing the guitar, dancing, singing, no background vocals. So, I mean, I'm not a fan personally, but I'll give credit where credit is due. She does have a high level of artistry, talent, and devotion to her craft. And I'm sure Kendrick recognizes this. Again, he is very calculated and careful with who he does collaborations with, especially on his albums where most artists featured act as centerpieces of the album or are really more immersed into Kendrick's world than he is into theirs. What I mean by that is when Drake collaborates with Future or the Migos, he's doing their flows, he's rapping on their production, he's using their lingo. It sounds like he's immersed in their world. When he collaborates with dancehall artists, he takes their sound and runs with it for the next 5 years. He collaborates with The Weeknd and Party Next Door, but simultaneously has them ghostwriting for him in the OVO sweatshop to make his albums classic, like Nothing Was the Same or Take Care. So in a sense, he is also calculated with the people that he links up to do collaborations with, but it seems to be on more of a, let me platform you to my massive pop audience so I could then use your sound for years to come without ever being questioned on it, and people who are oblivious to the root of where that sound came from will think that I was the one who popularized it. Kendrick seems like he's more on the approach of, if we vibe, we vibe. If I respect your artistry and the music you're presenting to me and it makes sense, then we'll do a collaboration. I don't think it's on a sellout vibe. I don't think he's purposely collaborating with white pop artists and being like, okay, let me colonize the Swifties. Let me link up with Maroon 5 so a bunch of soccer moms can start singing my songs. I don't get that vibe from Kendrick's collaborative approach, but who knows? Let me know if I'm glazing in the comments. And again, especially on his album cuts, the artists he chooses to collaborate with seem to either serve a purpose of enhancing the overall album experience or adding to the album's themes. Take his recent work, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, for example, where Kendrick employed Baby Keem and Kodak Black as thematic cornerstones to illuminate its exploration of healing, self-growth, and imperfection. Kendrick recruited Baby Keem, who's his younger cousin, to tackle the entirety of the Savior interlude, and he's kind of the centerpiece of the Mr. Morale aspect of that project. He brings a more introspective perspective, delving into family loyalty, emotional detachment, and the pursuit of validations, rapping lines like, "Why are you lying on Benjamin? He's turning in his grave," where he's critiquing materialism's hollowness, while rapping bars like "Heart cold, froze, I don't feel nothing," where he's exposing the emotional cost of suppressing vulnerability. And these lyrics underscore a recurring tension within the album, which is the struggle between outward success and inner emptiness. Baby Keem's presence on this album represents this youthful candor that complements Kendrick's reflective wisdom that presents an emotional turbulence of someone navigating identity in the early stages of fame. On the track Savior, Baby Keem's role sharpens Kendrick's critique of hero worship as his brash energy contrasts Kendrick's cautionary perspective, emphasizing the album's message that growth is a personal, imperfect journey. Kodak Black, on the other hand, symbolizes the messy, indulgent reality of success. His gritty reflection on the Rich interlude portrays the duality of triumph and trauma, where he unapologetically confronts his contradictions. Then on Silent Hill, Kodak's melodic, braggadocious delivery complements Kendrick's introspection, emphasizing the album's thesis. Healing is non-linear and imperfection is universal. Baby Keem and Kodak anchor the project, representing two poles of maturity: the budding artist grappling with identity and the established figure navigating success's weight. Their features amplified the album's layered exploration of accountability, redemption, and humanity. I don't doubt that if Taylor Swift is on Kendrick's next project, that she'll definitely be placed within the album's theme or overall sound in a very tasteful way. I mean, to all the Kendrick fans out there, I wouldn't worry too much. I don't think Kendrick's going country on us. But then again, who knows? Jelly Roll has a feature on the new Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg album, so maybe the whole West Coast is going country. But someone tweeted out that Kendrick and Taylor Swift are about to get into their introspective bag, turn to jazz, and make a collab album with The Alchemist. And honestly, I'd be kind of here for that. Like a Meet the Grams Part 2 with Taylor Swift. I do think her inclusion on the album would be somewhat of a subtle, subliminal troll towards Drake for all the trolling he did about her controlling Kendrick's album releases and the pop record they did in the past. And it's funny how prophetic both of their diss records were towards certain situations. Like when Drake rapped, Kendrick opened his mouth, someone go hand him a Grammy right now. Kendrick is now 7 times nominated for the 2025 Grammy Awards, with Not Like Us receiving 5 different nominations, including Song of the Year and Record of the Year. And I don't think that's necessarily a diss towards Kendrick. I think that's more of a slight to the Grammys, if anybody, because Kendrick did just overtake Drake as being the 3rd most nominated rapper at the Grammys of all time, receiving 57 nominations throughout his entire career, while Drake has only received 50. So yeah, Kendrick opened his mouth, they handed him a bunch of Grammys, and not only were those Grammys for the diss record he aimed at you, but he also took your record of being the 3rd most nominated rapper at the Grammys of all time. And Drake really spoke that into existence with that bar, but it kind of worked against him, if anything. And then him saying Top Dog told him that he needs a verse for the Swifties. Well, now he's not on Top Dog Entertainment anymore, and he's still allegedly collaborating with Taylor Swift on this next album. Plus, what did Kendrick say? When I see you stand by Sexy Red, I believe you see 2 bad women. Yeah, well, who did Drake run to on the first record he released after he lost this battle? It was Sexy Red, and he was rapping over that BBL Drizzy beat. Plus, on that same record, Euphoria, Kendrick rapped, "If you take it there, I'm taking it further, and that's something you don't want to do." Then Drake dropped Family Matters, where he thought he was exposing some family and marital issues within Kendrick's life, name-dropping Kendrick's fiancée by name and really taking it there. And then Kendrick took it further, calling Drake a PDF file, saying that he's a vulture, he's a colonizer of the culture. He runs to Atlanta when he needs a few dollars. And what did Drake do when he lost this battle? He collaborated with a bunch of Atlanta artists by the likes of 21 Savage, Young Thug, Playboi Carti, Lotto, and more. And then when Young Thug got released from prison, he went to Atlanta and gave him $1 million. Plus, the only rapper Drake didn't want smoke with throughout this whole battle was Future when he rapped, "Pluto makes me sick to my stomach, we ain't never really been through it." So yeah, maybe he really does want to colonize that sound. And again, just crazy how prophetic a lot of these diss records were. And as far as Taylor Swift being featured on Kendrick's new album and the features on that album in general, with Drake rapping that Kendrick doesn't go back to his hood and plant money trees, then with Kendrick dropping Not Like Us, which featured DJ Mustard production, making it his most West Coast sounding hit to date, many critics of Kendrick were thinking, how is Kendrick going to repay that favor of DJ Mustard gifting him the beat to now one of his biggest hits? He wasn't reposting any West Coast artist album on his social media pages. People were saying he rarely does features with West Coast artists, which isn't really true. He has features with Nipsey Hussle, Vince Staples, Blast, a bunch of other West Coast artists. I've named them in previous videos. I actually have a whole video on this subject titled, "Does Kendrick Do Enough to Support the West Coast?" You guys can check that out. But yeah, a lot of people were expecting that he was going to come with a more West Coast sound and a lot more West Coast features on his next album. So it kind of rubbed people the wrong way that he's now deciding to go back and collaborate with a pop star like Taylor Swift instead of doing records with rappers from the West Coast. However, he did preview another song at the beginning of the Not Like Us music video, which also featured a West Coast sounding beat. And with the pop-out concert featuring an array of different West Coast artists and LA talent, him devoting entire set list to different West Coast artists, and him bringing them all up on stage as he performed Not Like Us, I do think Kendrick Lamar is going to bring it back to his hometown on this album and make it his most West Coast sounding album to date. Whether or not he incorporates that sound throughout the entirety of the album, we'll have to wait and see. But again, Kendrick is very calculated with the artists, producers, and collaborators that he works with when it comes to his albums. To Pimp a Butterfly was very jazz inspired. The 2 biggest singles off his record, Damn, were both produced by Mike Will Made It, DNA, and Humble. And I think he'll take a similar approach with this new album, incorporating that more up-tempo, bouncy West Coast production onto at least the singles of this project. And maybe he'll get Taylor Swift on a DJ Mustard beat. I mean, she used to rap with T-Pain back in the day. She could do it again with Kendrick, but who knows? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you here for another Kendrick and Taylor Swift collaboration? Do you think he's running to Nashville when he needs a few dollars? Do you think maybe Drake could benefit from a Taylor Swift collaboration at this point so he could finally catch a hit after the massive loss he took back in May? Does Kendrick need to do more for West Coast artists? Let me know in the comments, and I will catch you guys in the next one.
There's a lot of little nuggets in both of their disses that if it wasn't for these breakdowns, and salute to, guys like this, Rapaholics, because I think they directly get it.